Gal Guardians, Servants of the Dark is a 2D pixel action-adventure game developed by Inti Creates. The story centers on two cute demon maids who return from a strangely approved vacation back to their master's castle and return to their maid cleaning duties. However, a great evil assaults the keep, killing many of their friends, including their very own master, Lord Maxim. Then find out that it was their very own headmistress maid who planned and schemed for this to happen, with the great demon lord Lizenorg. Now with everyone in their home castle dead, it's up to the two maids to get things back to normal. Exploring regions for the spirits of their friends, collecting bones of their master, and putting a stop to the demon lord Lizenorg is a lot to ask of two humble maid demons. Gal Guardians, Servants of the Dark, turned out to be one of the greatest Metroidvanias made in recent years. Find out more in our Gal Guardians, Servants of the Dark review. Masha and Karika are an absolute dish to enjoy. The former is a green-haired, small-chested girl who knows her way around a whip and various naturally imbued magics. Through the use of sub-weapons, she tends to lean more into raw summoning magic, like creating armored spiders to bully around with her whip melee attacks, which in turn slam into enemies for some comical yet high-damage results. Karika, on the other hand, is a much more ranged, focused fighter. Wielding the trusty checkmate submachine gun fashioned like an Uzi, she enjoys fighting from a distance at the cost of doing much less damage. However, if combined with a dodge, she fires a shotgun instead for close range and packs a pretty nasty punch. Unlike her colleague, Masha's sub-weapons tend to be mostly objects that are thrown, such as bombs and grenades and the like. Each maid seems to have weapons unique to them. There are more weapons that can be shared by either of them, like a lantern to light completely dark regions, and typical weapons like swords and throwing daggers. The combat and implementation of these weapons and tactics are precisely what one would expect from a Castlevania or a Metroidvania-style game. The game has excellent responsive backstepping and forward dashing to avoid being hit by enemies while also doing these motions offensively. Control-wise, it'll feel very natural, like an extension of the body. The controls do their job with no questions asked. Killing enemies feel great, as every slash and hit is usually followed up with loud, bloody splashes of gore. It will hypnotize the player with the need to always clear every enemy in each passing room. Where Gal Guardians, Servants of the Dark truly surprises is none other than its co-op feature for up to 2 players. This adds an entirely new layer of being able to traverse through the game by being able to carry a friend on their head as a stepping stool to reach higher regions. One other feature to note during co-play is that the player can at any time turn into a bat and safely hover near their counterpart and follow them. This was an absolute boon playing with my wife, as she dislikes platforming, and I was able to do those segments for her. Bat form can be used tactically to avoid certain hazards and attacks. Gal Guardians, Servants of the Dark is a co-op experience that I recommend to anyone starving for some good tandem experiences with a friend or a loved one. Delving further and further into the game's main story, more spirits of the castle's inhabitants will be discovered, allowing for more features to become available to the two maids. One particular feature involves a large spider blacksmith who can affix passive abilities from one weapon to another. The blacksmith was quite a delight to invest time into, as there's seemingly a lot of possibilities and tinkering that one can get into with the maids when messing around with various options. Increasing the ammo capacity of Karika's gun and adding elemental properties, or if one enjoys punishing themselves, detrimental passives like the doubling cost of using sub-weapons are available purely for adding challenge. While enemies don't provide the traditional sense of experience points when they're defeated, they do have a chance to drop Lord Maxim's bones. These bones are needed to return to his castle's throne in hopes of bringing his body back together. When a certain number of bones are returned, it will level up both Karika and Masha. At certain milestone levels, they will also gain new abilities like double jump or being able to swap and take hits for each other. I found this a very unique and exciting way to level up for a Castlevania-like game. Maxim bones don't always drop, so it makes farming kind of inconsistent if you want to grind out your strength. When a bone does drop from a monster, it feels exciting to get one every time they do. Gal Guardians, Servants of the Dark is a game that isn't afraid to go to certain places with its character designs. One boss I battled fairly early on allowed me to attack her large boobs for damage. It was my favorite highlights, not just from the game, but probably from what I've experienced from any game in a while. It's truly a breath of fresh air being able to play a game that could express itself however it wants, and I'm all for it. There was one very strange issue, though, that I had during the adventure. It would have to be the fast travel system. Charon provides a service to move the player around the world to other Charon locations. But not only is this service fairly pricey, they seem to be located in the most obscure and stretched out areas possible. There didn't seem to be one anywhere in the main castle hub, which perplexed me, as anytime I needed to return to the castle, I would essentially have to travel very far to continue where I left off. The only way to level up is to go back to the castle throne. This became rather strenuous to deal with, causing me to not want to return for long amounts of time. Gal Guardians, Servants of the Dark, is an absolute hidden gem in all ways possible. In a rather vast, large sea of Metroidvanias out there, including my most recent review of Ender Magnolia, it's very hard to push this genre's bar of excellence further with how high it already is. I can confidently say the Gal Guardians, Servants of the Dark is consistently amazing. The utterly lovable two protagonists complement each other with their polarized personalities. The clever yet sometimes perverted humor never fails to make me smile or laugh. The perfect and responsive 2D pixel platforming gameplay and great co-op implementation make this cleaning job a hard one not to recommend.